to Dollars and Cents with Frugal Freddy, where we have real money talk with a human touch. Today I have financial therapist Rakim Sabree. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. How are you?
Welcome to Columbus, man.
Thank you.
Welcome to Buckeye Land.
Yeah, this is exciting.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome, man. I'm happy to have you on the podcast. I know you're a very, very busy man. So before we really jump in, can you let the people know a little bit about who you are, with your background and things of that nature?
Yeah, there's a lot of ways I can answer this question, but I think I summarized it really how you did, right? I'm a financial therapist. I've been in this space since 2011. Started working in the banking industry, was there for a decade. I had some differences within my career path, right? And then I decided that I was going to leave and pursue entrepreneurship, like this big, scary thing.
That's awesome.
And so it's been a challenging journey, for sure, but it's been a rewarding journey. And I'm starting to kind of like see the fruit of that reward, like here. Yeah. The reason why I'm here today. So it's been cool. I focus on financial trauma primarily in my work. So financial trauma has existed for a while, right? There's been research and studies and people have talked about it, but I don't think there's anybody out there who exclusively talks about financial trauma in the way that I do, and in particular, how financial trauma impacts Black Americans and the way that we interact with money or we view money. So really the biggest difference between what I've seen with a clinical definition of financial trauma and the way that I talk about it is the clinical definition really speaks to what is your lived experience? Like what are the flashpoint financial instances that have occurred that may discourage you from saving or investing or what have you?
Those triggers.
Yeah. I focus on those things, plus what has happened generationally before you got here. What did your parents experience? What did your grandparents experience? How are those experiences traveling through cultural norms, values, your DNA? And ultimately, how does it show up in the way that you engage with money today?
That's real.
So it's an exciting space because like people are like, oh, financial trauma, like I've never heard that before. And so there's a lot more commentary on financial trauma than I've seen from 2 years ago when I first started like really calling it that name. But it also validates the work. Yeah. And because I've been talking about it for so long, I've been kind of like elevated to thought leader, right, on the topic.
You are a thought leader, brother. You know, walk in that, man. Walk in that.
Yeah, so
walk in that.
It's real cool. Yeah. And I mean, we could definitely dive into that.
And I think that's the dope thing about it, bro. Like we've all have experienced financial trauma, but never probably put words, phrases around it. We all have financial triggers, like you said, from back when we've been growing up, or maybe just a bad financial move we've made. Like, you know what? I ain't doing that again. You know what I mean? And I know for myself, I know the audience always talk about my duplex. And that's a trigger for me because I'm like, oh man, I somewhat over leveraged, trying to make it, the best duplex ever. But through that experience, it gave me the confidence to go after the next deal. So, shoot, I might have to be one of your clients.
Let's get into it.
Yes. So before we really get into it, you talked about, you having your 9 to 5, and I know a little bit about your story. Can you kind of talk about that season of your life before you became this thought leader and your viral moment and all those things?
The first of however many viral moments.
Yes.
So like I said, I was working in the banking industry. I started as a part-time teller. For the first 6 years, I was customer facing.
Okay.
After that 6-year period, I transitioned into another bank, and I was what people will say I was in corporate, right? I was behind the scenes. I was providing operational support for several programs. My title was program manager, and I was doing pretty well. I had a lot of support from my leadership and my peers initially. There was a big push to like make me successful until I started to focus on me outside of the company, right? So this is the era of Gary V, right? Gary Vaynerchuk was talking about personal branding, like develop an identity outside of your work. I read a book called Platform by Cynthia Johnston, where she talks about, building your personal brand as well. And I had run into kind of like a roadblock, if you will, around getting a promotion. And I was disappointed. I was beyond disappointed because not only did I know I was qualified for it, I knew that the goalpost was changing because I was interested in it. And initially, ironically, the position that I was going after was not a position that I wanted to go after. So I was encouraged by leadership to go after it, to then have it snatched away from me. So I didn't like playing that game.
Yeah.
And when I started focusing on my personal brand, I was like, oh, nobody could then go to care. Like, this is all based off of my own effort. And so word got out that I was doing things. I did a TED Talk. I was writing for publications. I was being featured and invited to conferences. And they're like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Slow down.
What do you got going on?
Right.
And I mean, it just turned into a bullying environment. Constantly questioning me. Why do you want to do this thing? Why do you want to do that thing? What is your commitment to the company?
Wow.
Why is your role valuable? Like, how do you justify your role? I'm like, I didn't hire me for this. You hired me for this. Like,
right.
And what was interesting about my role was that it was created before I got there. So I was the first person to fill that role. And I have a suspicion that they never really refilled the role. They may have dissolved it after I left. But I was at a space where I needed the money, right? Like I was passionate about the work, and I was doing it for free or for very low cost because I had the job. And so they would remind me of that. And I just knew I was going to come across a bridge where I had to make a decision between them and me, and I wanted to be ahead of that. So one day I just, out of frustration, I had been thinking about it for several weeks. I actually had drafted up a resignation letter that sat in my inbox for months. Really? And I was just waiting for what is going to be like the hair trigger to make me send it. But I really want to hone in on the mental health aspect of it, right? Because I think that's the bridge between the work that I do now and the work that I did previously. My mental health was suffering, and it was manifesting physically. Like, I started to see rashes on my skin because I was so stressed out. I would go to, get my annual physical, and they would do like that mental health evaluation. How many days of the last week did you have a hard time sleeping? How many days of the last week did you have a hard time eating? And I was noticing that like my results was leaning towards like the depressed side. And so I was depressed. I was very anxious, and I hated getting ready to go to work on, Sunday at 8:00 every night. I would have this like almost anxiety attack. And when I left my job, that all went away.
It's crazy. It's crazy how that happens.
Yeah. So I've had moments, I mean, it's been almost 4 years now, where that choice has been challenged for sure. It's like, how bad do you really want this? But I've also had many more moments that have validated that decision. And every year that I've gone and gotten a physical sense, despite the ups and downs of entrepreneurship and the stress that comes with it and figuring out how I'm going to get paid and how I'm going to pay my mortgage and all those things, never say that I'm depressed. Never say that I'm like experiencing anxiety. Like, I'm super grateful. And I just feel very present. In the moment,
and that's awesome, man. And I think that's really important for people to really understand. Our jobs definitely impact our mental health, impacts everything. And I experienced something like that a few years ago. I actually had a panic attack at work, and I've never, like, I was like, wow, this is crazy. I was crying at work. I'm like, what's wrong with me? You know what I mean? But it was work stress. It was that. Went to home stress, and I was a new dad. I was a new husband, and all these things. And work was really the trigger, and just caused that anxiety. Didn't think I was good enough. You know what I mean? And to your point, when you choose yourself, some other things may die away. And sometimes things have to die for you to flourish.
For sure.
And you definitely flourishing, brother.
Yeah.
You definitely flourishing.
Like I said, I get validation that I'm walking the path that I'm supposed to be walking. And you gotta look at it from a different set of eyes too, because when you're in it, you can't really see it sometimes.
Facts.
But I feel you on, like, I've had those moments. Like, I'm at work crying and wondering like why. And I think as Black men, especially in a corporate environment, especially in a conservative financial corporate environment, that there is an expectation around how we show up and how we manage those feelings and emotions and how we package them so that we appear to be non-threatening and a teammate and all of those things, right? Where we're not allowed to express our frustration, lest we be labeled the angry black man, right?
Or operate outside this box that has been predetermined for you.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's real. Like, I think, it's important for us to talk about these things. And now that I have the education and the experience on the other side of financial wellness and understanding how financial stress impacts the way that we show up, how it impacts our actual health, like with true wellness, right? I realized like there's so many people who are going to work every day who hate their job, but they're staying there because they need the money.
Yep.
Or they have a boss who's dangling that salary over their head, and they're like, well, like you said, I'm a new dad, I'm a husband, I'm whatever, whoever you are to somebody else. Even if you're just you, right? Like you need that money. Yeah. And so it's unfortunate that we live in a society where people have to, or often choose to, because they don't believe they have another choice, trade their health for money. Like we're living to work instead of working to live.
Yeah, and that's our society, unfortunately.
Yep.
And I like what you say. You chose yourself. You're living life by design. I'm sure it's not always perfect. I'm sure there's some things you go through as an entrepreneur. And as an entrepreneur myself, I'm like, man, I don't know how I can do this full time. You know what I mean? Like, so kudos to you, because man. So do you want to talk about the viral moment as far as the resignation on Twitter?
We can talk about it all, man.
Because I was like, man, that was ballsy. You know?
Yeah.
It was brave.
It was definitely brave. Maybe a little bit impulsive in the moment.
That's okay.
But I'm a earth sign, so like I don't even think my impulsive is impulsive. It's like a planned impulse. But yeah. So the week of, I talked to a bunch of people who are like in my support system, and I'm like, yo, like I'm thinking about doing this thing. It was the Great Resignation before it was dubbed the Great Resignation. So I was seeing people like leaving their job left and right, and I'm like, I want to do that. I want to do that. I could do that. How could I do that, right? So I started socializing it, and it was a mixed bag of responses. Like I remember my mom like telling me no. She's like, "Don't do this. It's not the thing, right?" Yeah. And I had other people in my life who were like, "Look, if you're gonna do this, you're gonna be successful. Like you have too many people." I'll never forget this. A friend of mine was like, "You have too many people who are rooting for you to let you fail."
Say it again.
He said to me, "You have too many people who are rooting for you to let you fail."
Wow, that's deep.
And so when I heard that, like, that was like the final nail for me. That was like, okay, cool. So about Wednesday is when I made my decision. Wednesday of that week, it was the week before Memorial Day. I remember I couldn't sleep that night. Wednesday into Thursday, I could not sleep. Thursday, I'm like, all right, cool. Like, I'm gonna do it. Like, I'm gonna send this resignation. And then Friday morning, because it was just before the holiday, I got an email from my manager who had found out about something. Something got posted on LinkedIn, and I want to support you in your success, blah, blah, blah. But we're going to have a conversation about this. You're going to have to fill out some more forms about your outside business activities. And by the way, I need you to do this. I need you to have this stuff ready for me by the time that we meet. And I think we had a one-on-one that Friday.
All this red tape.
So I was like, yeah, and I'm good. Took the resignation notes that I had in my drafts, changed the date on it, and I was like, yeah, effective immediately. Like, I'm done.
No 2 weeks.
No 2 weeks. I was just like, I'm done.
That's real.
Because I knew that I would, they would try to talk me out of it.
Yeah.
I had developed a corporate brand of being a team player, of being reasonable, of being a high achiever. Always like scored meets or exceeds on my performance reviews. Just got a raise, just got a bonus. So they were going to try and reason with me and make me feel like I was crazy. So I knew in that moment I had to pull the plug and I had to give them no way to get in contact with me. So I did. And she started calling my phone and I'm like, nope, that's not my problem anymore.
It's a boundary.
Started emailing me. I saw the email go out that tells the other like managers to deactivate my badge and all that stuff. I'm like, all right, it's official. So I went on Twitter, and at the time I was just tweeting out into the void. went on Twitter and I'm like, yeah, I just quit my job. Right? Like the actual tweet says, I just quit my job, y'all, and I needed that for my mental health. That was the actual tweet.
I remember.
And I didn't expect nothing to happen because nothing ever happened. For the next maybe 2 days, my notifications would not stop. People were retweeting it, people were liking it, people were commenting, congratulating me. Like it was a super surreal moment. And from that viral activity, because I think that tweet generated 2.2 million impressions.
Wow.
From that viral activity, the producers from Tamron Hall's show had found me, and they reached out to me and they were like, do you want to be on the show? And I'm like, hell yeah. Like, Bigger Pockets Money reached out to me. So I ended up being on the Bigger Pockets Money show. I had wrote an article for Business Insider about it. I wrote 2 articles for Business Insider that went viral. Where I wrote about it. I wrote an article for Entrepreneur about it, and then I wrote an article for The Griot about it. And all of those articles went viral because we're in the era of the Great Resignation, so everybody's looking for that kind of content anyway. And it was just a big splash. Like a lot of people started following me, and they're like, okay, like I want to hear about your journey. People were booking calls with me, like I want to learn how could I do the same thing. And so I had, as a financial educator, and I don't talk about this often, so I'm glad we're talking about it. I had to be mindful of the image that I was portraying, and letting people know that, yes, I quit my job, but also I had like stacked accounts. Like I had an investment account, and my Roth and my traditional IRA, and I had cryptocurrency, and I had
so you kind of planned for it.
I didn't plan for that, but I was planning for something.
Yeah, that's real.
And I was just like, all right, cool. Like, this is what it is. So I wanted to make sure that people knew, like, I didn't just jump off the bridge and, like, now I gotta, beg for money on the corner. Like, and so even in that, like, time period of, it's been almost 4 years now, for a majority of that time, it's been, like, scraping by. And people don't see that. Like, they see the success, they see like the features and the viral activity, and he's on this podcast, that podcast, and this publication. He's writing that book. He's at this conference speaking. He's and I'm doing a lot of the work that I do off the strength of like I just love what I do. But I had to learn like I need to treat this like a business.
That's real.
And because my name is synonymous with my brand, sometimes I would cross wires around where does Rakim Sabree, the person, end and at Rakim Sabree, the brand, begin, right? So I'm living my life and I'm showing my life, but people are looking at this as, oh, he got this business, he's doing it. And, I had to kind of step back from the whole I fired my boss moment, which like, I segment my entrepreneurial journey into those like segments, and I'm like, that was the I fired my boss era. I had to step back from that a little bit. And when I started discovering financial therapy, I'm like, oh nah, I got to go all in on this. And so that's where financial trauma was able to kind of like surface. And I had already gotten the audience from the I fired my boss moment.
Ooh, that's a nice segue transition.
It was definitely, yeah. I've had a run now since 2019.
Keep running.
I've not stopped since 2019. So like every time something like I start warming up, something gets hot, like Financially Irresponsible came out 2019, my TEDx talk came out in 2019. I started like getting these opportunities. And actually somebody like this week said to me, they were like, you know what I admire about you? You always make a new opportunity out of an old opportunity. Like you're always finding ways to turn an opportunity into another one. And I was like, I kind of have to, but it was a huge it was a huge compliment because, like you said, I've been consistent. I keep showing up. It's me, and it's like, all right, I'm telling my story, but like, how am I gonna angle this? How am I gonna reinvent myself?
And I would say your story resonates with so many people. You said you had 2 million impressions, and like I said, a lot of us experience some of that financial trauma through work. And it's kind of financial abuse if they're going to dangle this carrot over top of you, that bonus, that salary, all that stuff. And that's financial trauma right there. And I never really thought about it like that. So, man, keep running, brother.
Yeah.
Keep running, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah. So with that, so being a financial therapist, I guess what is the difference? I always wanted to ask you is like, how would you define financial therapy versus financial counseling?
Yeah.
Is it the same? Is it different?
It's different, and I'll explain the differences, but I'll also explain the similarities, right? So at its core, financial therapy aims to help people feel better about their relationship with money.
Gotcha.
So given that definition, a financial counselor can be practicing financial therapy, right? Very broadly. But in terms of the difference in the professional capacity of an individual who identifies as financial counselor versus financial therapist, financial therapy is also a discipline. And that discipline comes from financial planning and marriage and family therapy coming together to create this new financial therapy that looks at both clinical approaches to, again, helping people feel better about their relationship with money, but also financial approaches to understanding like why people make these decisions and how do we structure that in a way that is beneficial to them.
Wow.
So financial therapy, the discipline, as outlined and oversight is provided from the Financial Therapy Association, may look different than the way that some people practice financial therapy who are coming at it from an angle where they may have never heard of the FTA, right? Because I was introduced to the financial therapy through the FTA, like that's the lens in which I practice and the lens in which I communicated. And so I'm very involved with the community. I actually I just joined their board. So helping to shape what the future of financial therapy looks like. But financial counselors, really one of the biggest differences between financial therapists and financial counselors is that financial counselors are focusing on goal setting and more tactical skills, right? So how do we help you create a budget? How do we help you stick to that budget? How do we help you eliminate debt or set goals for retirement or what have you? So there's a kind of a hand-holding coaching capacity to it. Financial therapy can exist exclusively in a space where numbers are not discussed at all.
Really?
Yeah. So a financial therapist is not going to, or a financial therapist will likely not spend a huge portion of their time with you focusing on how do you create a budget. They're more so focusing on how do you feel when you hear the word budget? Right? What is the reaction that is occurring? How do we assess that reaction? There are money disorders and there are intervention approaches that are both theoretical and based in like empirical research that financial therapists will use in instances where, let's say that there's a gambling addiction, right? Let's say that there's financial infidelity. So that's when a couple are operating in a capacity where one or the other is making large, or maybe not necessarily large, but making financial decisions without informing the other one. So I'm taking out debt and I'm not sharing this with my partner. Or I'm spending excessively, I'm not sharing this with my partner. And what kind of clash does that create based off of the differences in perspectives or values? So that's financial infidelity. There are several other money disorders. One that I find to be very interesting, particularly within our communities, is referred to as financial enmeshment, which is also referred to or has been referred to as financial incest, where whereby parents will use money as a way to manipulate the relationship with their children, or they will place those children in situations where they have a deeper kind of like awareness than they need when it comes to money. So the child might say, oh, if I don't do, or if I do this, then this is going to create this kind of impact financially on the household. Or I need to do this, or I need to go out and get a job so I can help mom because mom's always telling me how much, we're behind on rent or, what bills, right? And so I think there's so many conversations that have been normalized within the Black community specifically around parents putting their utilities bills in their children's name, or parents sending their kids off to work to support the home, right, to give back to the home. And I think the clash that financial therapy offers through this, there's an acronym called WEIRD, Western. I'm messing that up. I won't be able to remember it. But it basically speaks to like this non-culturally competent view of diagnosing somebody. Because when we look at this behavior, if I go around, I'm saying, oh, this is financial enmeshment. But I'm not taking into account this is also a cultural thing, right? It's not just something that happens in the Black community, it's something that happens in the Latino community and the Native American communities, right? Where we're looking at in America, we're looking at how do we exist as individuals when some of the indigenous or communities of color are looking at how do we exist as a collective. So it's the individualism versus the collectivism. And so there's a clash of values in terms of these are my family's values, these are my cultural values, but this is American values, right? And so I don't go around diagnosing. I think it's really fun to like learn about what, how these different things show up and what extremes look like and where do we draw the line and et cetera, et cetera. But it also positions me to be able to have conversations where, again, I could bring up financial infidelity if I'm talking to a couple and they're not on the same page and we uncover like, well, I don't feel comfortable talking to you about my spending because I feel like you're going to try to tell me what to do. How do we reframe that? How do we create more peace in the relationship?
Right.
Because money is one of the, if not the number one cause, one of the highest causes for divorce. So, yeah, it's a growing field. It's a rabbit hole that, I'm just tumbling down.
I love it.
But yeah, financial therapy, different from financial counseling, is really going to address how are you feeling emotionally, how you're reacting to the stress of financial stress, financial anxiety, financial trauma. And of course, I lean into financial trauma. So that's the area where I'm focusing on how does trauma show up? Where is it stored in your body? How can we like dislodge some of that trauma?
Where is it stored in your body?
Oh, yeah. Trauma, we store trauma in our body.
Financial trauma in our body.
We store trauma generally. In our body.
We do.
But that trauma could be financial.
That's deep.
Yeah.
I think every time I'm like financially triggered, to your point, it's like a tense, like, oh man, like thinking about that bill or, oh my gosh, I got this amount of debt. Dang, man, I'm in a session today.
Think about how, and I think this is a kind of often overlooked aspect of the conversation. Maybe it's not financial trauma, but there is a financial trigger, and we're trying to find a way to avoid experiencing the trauma by coping with that trigger in doing something that is not beneficial financially. So I'll use myself as an example. I am, and I think this is a cultural thing, but I am like, I eat my emotions, good or bad. Like I'm like a food, like that's my comfort. So if I am celebrating, I'm gonna go eat. If I am sad, I'm gonna go eat. If I'm scared, I'm gonna go eat.
That's real.
Right? Like I know people who get sick and they choose not to eat. If I get sick and I don't have an appetite, then I'm like, I'm really sick.
Wow.
Rarely do I get sick and I don't have an appetite. And so on the other side, right, the positive emotions, I won an award, I did this, I did that, right? Let's go out, let's go celebrate. And so when we think about, food is not free.
True.
Or if we're thinking about what are social norms around breaking bread, then, oh, I got it this time, right? So you look at what is my way, or I'm using myself as an example, but what is the individual's way of coping with the stress that they're experiencing, financial or otherwise? And then what is the financial implication of that coping? because a lot of times we're trying to avoid harm, right? So harm avoidance is going to look like, well, I'm not going to sit with this. I'm going to do what worked for me last time. And what worked for me last time was getting a nice big slice of cheesecake, right? So I'm going to go get me a slice of cheesecake, even though I know I don't need it right now. But that manifests differently with other people. That can manifest through alcohol. That can manifest through gambling. That can manifest through, I mean, name your vice, right? There's a financial implication to that. And so that's when you start splitting hairs, because does the person have a gambling addiction, or is the person trying to navigate the stress of whatever's bothering them by gambling?
Never thought about it like that. And it's crazy. I was in one of your sessions at the conference, and I think you referred to it as the sandwich generation, where I'm kind of there. Like thinking about what's going to happen to my parents. They're getting close to retirement. You know, I'm trying to build my own, what I'm going to do for my daughter and future kids. And that causes a lot of stress for me. Like,
for sure. That causes stress for anybody.
How are we going to figure this out? Like, Bob, stepdad, y'all good? You know what I mean? And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that feel that. And I know we talked about the black tax. Like, that's a real thing. Where you made it, you know what I mean? And we really haven't made it, you know what I mean? So, you know, being Frugal Freddy, you know, some people may have this perception. I'm like, no, I'm in the grind with you. You know what I mean? It's all a grind until whatever my point is, I'm going to get there. But we're all in the same position. You know, I may be, you know, positioned to talk about a little out there more, but we're all in the same position, man. And I love that about the work that you do. It's like, all right, yeah, I'm this thought leader, I'm the speaker, but this entrepreneurial life is no joke. You know, I'm still experiencing, you know, those same stresses. So that's one thing I like about you. I meant to tell you this, man. Like, I feel like you're very self-aware, man.
I appreciate that. I strive to be.
Like,
I strive to be.
That's dope. That's dope. So with all this financial trauma, financial therapy, you're also a accredited financial counselor too.
Right.
So you got both sides of the coin.
Right.
How did that come about?
So, again, with the Financial Therapy Association being my entry point into financial therapy, I was at first just kind of a passive observer. I had no intentions on calling myself a financial therapist. I had always called myself a financial coach. And I was interested, but I became interested in the credential, certified financial therapist. And they have a criteria for education, and they have a criteria for experience. And then they even have a criteria for like references.
Really?
So very involved process to even become a candidate for this designation. And I noticed that one of the criteria was the AFC.
Wow.
And I had a friend who had the AFC. So I was like, well, you know, at the time I was carrying the CFEI mark through the National Financial Education Council. And I'm like, I kind of feel like that's enough, right? I was anti-credential at the time. Kind of feel like that's enough. But I did some reading about the AFC, and I found out that it does hold a little bit of weight. Has been mentioned in the same sentences as the CFP. And I'm like, people know what the CFP is. I don't have a desire to plan. I don't have a desire to sell products. So maybe this is the best route. And as I dug deeper and discovered that a portion of the AFC focuses on financial counseling methods, I was like, oh, that's where the overlap is. So I'll get the AFC as a stepping stone to getting the CFT.
I see you.
And then I'll just keep it moving. That didn't happen, right? So I got the AFC. And as I was studying for it and I got engaged with the community and, you know, seeing different people who had it or who was pursuing it, embrace the work that I was doing, being active in some of the conversations, particularly as it related to where is that overlap between financial therapy and financial counseling, I got some clout fast, right, in the community. And I was like, oh, I kind of like it here. Like these are my people. And pursued the AFC, took the exam, failed the exam the first time. And I was like, and somebody said to me, I hope you're going to take it again. Like, don't let that failure stop you. And I was like, yeah, I'll go for it. So I took it again, I think within 60 days, and I passed it. And I was like, all right,
I'm here.
I have the experience hours already because I've been doing this work. Like, let me get the credentials. So I got the AFC, and just as I had failed the exam for the AFC, I had started a cohort in the Trauma of Money, which is a program certification that focuses on what I focus on. So I'm like, this is going to be way too much to do both at the same time. But I was able to, because I had missed it, I was able to take the exam again, pass it, and then fully commit myself to Trauma of Money. So I'm like, all right, I want people to know that through these designations, like, do they mean something to me? Yes. But they don't mean as much to me as I want them to be a demonstration of my commitment to really knowing my stuff. So AFC, yes, like I could come in, I can talk to you about financial fundamentals, and I could create a counseling environment that makes sense, that makes you feel comfortable having these conversations with me. Trauma of money, now I understand how trauma shows up. What does that look like? What are different intervention styles around trauma? I think ideologically, the trauma of money is a little bit different because it's not coming from a clinical therapy, financial planning perspective. It's coming from an addiction recovery perspective and a complex PTSD perspective. But that gives me more tools, right, to look at this. How can we look at this from a different lens? Trauma of money addresses white supremacy.
Oh, wow.
It addresses capitalism. It addresses a lot of the exploitative systems that we navigate and how the blame is often placed on the individual for not acquiescing to the system and not so much recognizing that the reason why people are responding in the way that they're responding is because of the system. So those things I like about that program. But I do think that there's value in continuing to further the field of financial therapy. And more so within the realm of the work that I've done with the organization, helping to bridge the gap between this like super gatekept academia and everyday people, right? So when I hear like an everyday person talking about their money story or money scripts or financial trauma, I'm like, this is becoming normalized. These conversations are becoming normalized.
That's good, though.
I've been a part of these conversations, right? So many people have come to me and are like, man, I don't care who came up with financial trauma. The first time I ever heard about financial trauma was from you.
That's real. Same here.
And I'm like, cool.
You own it, brother. Hey, man, don't forget about us when you make it. You know what I mean? You got your own show on the national scene. No, man, no, I think you are onto something. As brother to brother, man, God didn't put this in you for no reason, man.
Yeah.
Like, you're onto something, man. And you know, I know we talked off camera. I'm kind of in this limbo period now. Like, should I go after the AFC? And I'm like, I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Probably so. So I'll probably hit you up about that. But God didn't put this in you for no reason, man.
Yeah, no, I believe that.
Yeah.
I believe that.
Yeah.
That's been realistically a guiding light for me in this journey, because there have been a series of opportunities and curveballs to kind of deviate from the path. But just focusing on the fact that I believe that this is a purpose that was put in me for a reason. Like, how could I abandon that, right?
Right. Right. All right. So we're here in 2025. What advice or 2 to 3 quick things would you give someone to have a financially well new year in 2025?
Yeah, I think some of the things that you complimented me on are things that I would throw back at the audience, right? That self-awareness piece is huge. There's so many people who set goals for themselves based off of what other people said that they should be doing. And so they feel like, well, I need to be doing this because somebody else said that or somebody else is doing it. If you could be self-aware, or if you could develop a self-awareness that allows for you to hone into what is your true value system then it will be easier for you to set goals that you can stick to. Not because somebody else told you that you should be doing it, but because you believe that you should be doing it. And I think as I share my journey in entrepreneurship, like those curveballs that I've talked about, I mean, they are derailers, but because my value system is aligned to the work that I do, I've been able to stand 10 toes down. And I think the same thing applies to anybody with their finances. So self-awareness, I think, is definitely key. I think also normalizing these conversations where we don't view the connection between money and mental health or physical health or relational health, right? So when we talk about who are the people that we're spending time with, our friends, our family, our coworkers, if we have any, our partners, all of those interactions, some way or another, kind of pull at threads that make you spend money.
True.
And so what I find with a lot of people that I work with is that they have a hard time establishing financial boundaries that say, hey, this is what I'm focused on. If I do this, it's going to derail me. So socializing, this is the goal that I have determined I want to work on based off of my self-awareness. And I need you to support that by either being a part of the process or getting out the way. And that's a hard conversation to have, especially to somebody who is close to you, right? Like a partner. Like you got to go to sleep with this person.
Yep. What you mean?
Or a coworker, or a child, or a parent, right? But if you socialize what those goals are, I think there will be a sense of empathy that exists from, I mean, hopefully, that you're surrounded by people who are empathetic to the work that you're doing on yourself, and an opportunity for you to help them do something very similar.
True.
I think lastly, I would also focus on the fact that money is a tool, right? People tend to view money as like this object that exists outside of them, that is to be chased, that is to be hoarded, that is to be acquired. And there's components to that are true, right? Without nuance. But money is a tool, money is a form of energy. And so when we think about, I talked about this in the conference, the intentional conservation of energy and recognizing that money is a form of energy. You can make intentional decisions around how you're spending that energy when you're viewing it through that lens. When you embrace an abundant mindset.
Hit on something there, brother.
Right? That you're, sometimes it doesn't hurt you to spend money because you're like, I'm gonna get that money back. But that's not to make an excuse to say, like, let me get rid of my money. But I think just having a better relationship with what money represents to you. And I ask this question to my clients: what does money represent to you? Many times the answers fall in the range of safety, security, power, right? Freedom. And so determining what money means to you and what money will, how money will serve you in the journey to whatever the path that you decide for yourself. Again, going back to that self-awareness piece, is going to be huge. When you can align those three things, I think you'll be in a better place. Because we had a keynote, right? Michael Thomas, shout out to Dr. Michael Thomas, said, if you don't have a plan for your money, somebody else has a plan for it.
That's real.
And that plan existed maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Like, there are people, companies, organizations, whole departments that are spending money to learn how to influence your behavior, how to nudge you in a particular direction so that you will spend your money with them.
That's real. That's kind of sick if you think about it, man.
I mean, that's the society that we live in, right?
Yeah, man, that's deep. That's deep. No, man, I appreciate that. That definitely speaks to me going into the new year. Like, like that self-awareness, money's a resource, all those things. So what's next for you? That you want to share?
I mean, I don't have no problem sharing. Right now, I'm writing a book on financial trauma. So I'm working with Wiley Publishing.
Oh, dope.
Yeah. Okay. So that will be out probably end of 2025, early 2026. But I'm trying to exclusively focus on financial trauma. So I will touch on financial therapy certainly and financial counseling, all the things, right? Mm-hmm. But I really want like this to be the embodiment of my work.
That's dope.
And the way that I'm approaching it, without giving too much away, is really understanding and explaining how trauma shows up. So we talked about trauma existing in the body. How do we react to trauma, whether that be running towards it or trying to find a way around it. Mm-hmm. And so that coping mechanism that we create then becomes a pattern of behavior. And then that will obviously have financial implications. So I want to explain this process, and then I want to define financial trauma for people. And then I want to provide people with solutions for navigating that financial trauma. So it's going to be a hell of a project. I'm super excited about it. And I think that's going to be the biggest thing for me in 2025.
That's dope, man. Yeah. That's dope. If somebody wanted to be one of your clients or wanted to contact you for a speaking engagement, where can they find you at?
Yeah, I think the best place is my website. So rockmsabree.com. I'm on all social media. So LinkedIn is probably where I'm the most active, but Facebook, Instagram, all those places. And my Substack that I actually just won an award for.
Yeah.
That is Overcoming Financial Trauma. And you can find that at rockmsabree.substack.com.
Yeah. I'm a subscriber, so.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I love it. So that's it, y'all. See you.